Okay, everyone, welcome. If you're interested in stock market technical analysis and trade ideas, you've come to the right channel. That's what I do on this channel. Been doing this for a while, so we're going to get right into it. I just want to point out yesterday, everyone really jumped in and gave me that thumbs up. That helps the channel. The channel doesn't make me a lot of money or anything, but if I'm going to put some time and energy into the channel, I'd like to see it grow. So let's try to get there again and get over 500 likes. If you gave me a like yesterday, just hit that like button again. I do appreciate that. All right, jumping right into the charts, triple Qs. So selling off today, gapping down. That's what I was calling for yesterday. It looked like we were going to gap down today. And this is where the buyers were at the other day. Right down here on the daily chart is what we're looking at. And so they're showing up a little bit this morning, but I suspect this is going to get sold into this little bounce. And we're going to start to sell off some more. So I'm looking at 311. Still think that's a target. The fact that we gapped down again today, and all the dip buyers that were basically buying the dip right in here, now they're trying to figure out if they were made the right move or not. So I think that you start to get more selling. Those dip buyers are going to start to exit those trades, and we will see more selling start to come in. So 311 on Qs, still the target, the near-term target, and I think we'll probably hit that today, maybe tomorrow, but the way this is looking, I think it's going to be today. Moving on to the SPY. A couple things on the SPY that's interesting. SPY is selling off. SPY is looking weak, and it is... And a lot of these SPY stocks that I've been kind of covering, they're looking weaker actually than some of the tech stocks, at least today, which is interesting. SPY is breaking down. 400 is about the next level of support. You got a gap right here, so I think we'll get a bounce off that 400 level. But one thing to notice, if you look at the weekly, now the week's not closed yet. We're only on Wednesday, and the day's still young, but this is coming off your your 2008 Great Recession lows. So this is a decade or 12 years or whatever, 11 years. And, here's all the times that weekly held this support, held this trend line, broke in 2018, back tested in late 2020. There's your COVID drop right there. And really what I want to focus on is that, so now you can see this trend line right here. So we overshot to the upside. We recovered that trend line, but you can see we're starting to come back down. All right. So watch how this weekly candlestick closes. If we close back below this trend line on a weekly basis, and especially an impulsive close, if it's just right there at the trend line, it's too close to call. But if you start to get a pretty impulsive close, maybe closing down around 400 or something for the week, then that means that this was a false breakout of that trend line, and it's actually been recaptured from below. That would be very bearish, the fact that we'd be back below that major trend line, and I would see more selling probably starting to come in. Potentially a top in the market if that happens, a real more permanent top. But again, we got to wait for that weekly close. Okay, so flipping back to the daily, SPY gapping down as well. And so far, it looks like more selling coming in. So that is something to watch. Now, let's look at the VIX. I talked about the VIX over the last little while. You can see big spike in the VIX, up 20% today. And again, I talked about how I was taking a position. I started talking about this 3 or 4 days ago in the VXX. Oh, one thing about the VIX is above that trend line. That trend line right there of 2210. You can see all the times that the VIX basically held support, broke below briefly, but we're back above it right now. So pretty impulsive move right there in the VIX with a 20% jump. We could see the VIX move higher. Now, if you look at the VXX, which is a way that I trade it, there's that pattern that I was looking for. It's starting to play out. So remember how I was drawing these lines on my other video saying down, and then we get the move up, like maybe something like that. I don't know if it'll go that high, but I'm looking for a move up, into that range. So you can see we're starting to put together that pattern where we gap up, moving higher. So, you make a new high, and we're probably off to the races in this VXX for a short-term bounce. Now, again, I sell into that strength. So as you rip higher, And I was buying this VXX down here at 38.50, so that thing's up already almost 17%. But you start moving up here, you're going to get gains of 50, 60%. That's about right, I think, for a pop in volatility. And the IWM small caps. So again, we had the sell signal the other day. Here's your daily chart, your trend line right there on the trend line support. We had negative divergence on the RSI and the PPO. So if you're new and you don't understand these concepts, check out my course, link in the description below. I do charge $99. I'm thinking about potentially raising the price on that. I've given you guys, if you haven't taken the course yet and you've been with me for a while, then you're probably not going to. But prices are going up, so I've had that thing available for $99 for about about a year or so. So I might double the price, but for right now I'm going to leave it at $99. So check it out. And I talk about these concepts in the course, link in the description below. But here you go, negative divergence, and then there's the break of trendline support on IWM on that daily chart. You get the back test, and then you gap down, start to roll over. So looking for more selling to come into this probably today. After the morning, dip buyers get cleared out, then the sellers are probably going to take over. And on IWM, again, first level of support, 205. It's about 205. Looking for that to get hit. Probably get a bounce off of that. Next level of support down here at 193. I think that's a pretty good target for a swing trade. You got the 200-day moving average down at that level as well. So that looks pretty good and solid to me. I think we probably come down here, get a bounce, break, come down here, and maybe we get a more sustainable bottom or rally off of this one. Couple trade ideas. This Toll Brothers one, I think I pointed this out the other day, so I added to this trade today, but I started shorting it the other day. Looking good, breaking down below the recent lows right here on the daily chart, and looks like it's heading lower. So the level of support that I see down here about 50.36, that's a pretty good level of support. You can see that was major resistance back through here in September of 2020. Once we broke above, it proved to be support right there. And you got the 200-day moving average that's right up in there too. So I think if we drift lower or get some sort of impulsive flush out, we drop right down to that level and get a good sustainable bounce off that level. Next level of support down around 40.60. But I'm banking on this level for right now. And it's looking good. You can see it's down almost 4% today and continuing to sell. Here's John Deere & Company. So DE, talked about this one probably for about a week now. I've been talking about the trade setup, saying that I like the setup. I'm just waiting for the trigger. So again, on this one, I circled it back here. That was your divergent high. You have negative divergence, clear negative divergence, where the momentum has just been dropping off the cliff. And so you wait for a break of trendline support. Here's your trend line right there on the daily chart. And you really got the break right here. So you break, you kind of muddle around a little bit. They make it look like it's going to back test. And then you get the impulsive, that's another impulsive sell down. Today, we gap below that support level right there at 366.56. We gap below and we're selling off. So that's what you call, a gap and go, where it basically gaps down. Gap and goes are just gap and then move in the direction of the gap. So you gap and then we're moving down. So I don't see any real support in this stock until we get down to about 317.30. And maybe the 200-day moving average. So in general, this looks like it's going to flush out a little bit. So we shorted this, saying it's good, looking good so far. Down, it's about 8% with a 4% drop just today. So continuing to ride this one to the downside, looking good. And here's Boyd Gaming. Again, this has been a short for a little while. And actually, this one I talked about as a setup for quite a while as well before it really started to trigger. But here's your daily trend line support right there. See the uptrend, nice clean uptrend. Negative divergence on the RSI and the PPO. And there's your last divergent high was circled right there. That's not where you want to short, though. You want to wait for a break of trendline support, a sell signal, basically. And there it is right there. See that big impulsive red sell down, followed by more selling. What this is doing, or what it's done so far, is kind of flagged out, creating a bear flag. So, I don't know if this is the break of the flag or if we're going to just continue to flag today. maybe it'll be something like that, and they'll rally it up. But I still think we're heading lower. Next level of support, 55.43. That looks good. We break below that, then really 50.86 is a better level of support. You can see back here where it held resistance all through these candles, and then when you broke above, impulsive breakout candle, see that nice green candle there, came back down, tested as support, and off to the races. So that's a much more solid level of support. But again, 55.43 is the first level, 50.86. And if you're shorting, you want to step in a little bit early and cover, ahead of that support level, depending on what you're targeting. If you're just targeting this level, then, you want to step in a little bit early on each level in case the buyers show up. Starbucks, I don't believe I covered this one yesterday, but I am short Starbucks. Here's what I like about it. Clear uptrend line right there on the daily chart, negative divergence on the PPO, and it's not quite there in the RSI, but it's close enough where you have an equal high. Let me just show you that. There's an equal high, if I can get the right tool. There's your equal high in the RSI from kind of a former high where you basically were back here, but it was on much higher price. So that's a divergence because you made a higher price, you didn't really make a higher high. And then the PPO has negative divergence. So then you wait for a break of trendline support. There's your breakdown candle right there. And you can see we kind of rallied a little bit, but today we're gapping down, not selling off yet, but we'll see how the day closes out. Maybe they want to rally it up and continue to back test. Still below trendline support though, and so this should prove to be resistance. I'm looking for a move really on Starbucks. I'm really only looking for a move to about down to 101.30 area. From where we're at, that's a move of about, we'll say 7.5% from here. With a stop up would be a recovery of that trend line. So the stop right now would be about a 4% stop. So not a good trade if you're not in this one already. The risk reward, at least for this target level right here, is just not really there. But I entered this on the breakdown right here, and my stop was going to be there. So I'm already in the profit on a couple percentage. But I want to point it out that it's important to evaluate your risk reward. If you don't get the perfect entry, you always want to have, at least a 2-to-1 risk reward where you have the opportunity to make double the money and lose, 1 unit basically. So if you're going to put, it depends on what you're going to put down, but you never want to be able to lose as much as you can potentially gain. You always want to have the opportunity to gain more with the trade idea than where you'll stop out at. All right, that's a risk reward ratio. That's a concept I teach in my course as well. And AMD, she's just about to break. She hasn't broken yet, but you've got this major support right there at 73.78. So when that goes, and I suspect it's likely going to go in the form of a gap down. Well, they're probably going to try to they'll probably hold this level, and it'll come in the form of a gap down. So you'll probably hold, and then overnight will gap down. But once that level goes, and I think it will. I think it's going to be a pretty swift move down to $59. We might get a little bounce at this gap right here. I think what will probably happen is we're going to gap down to about 69.93. The buyers are going to step in and rally it up to back up to this level, and then it's going to get rejected and work its way all the way down to $59. All right. So for me, once we enter that gap, you have a high probability of filling the gap and and also coming down to this support level here. So still looks good. Whether, I don't know, it doesn't look like they're going to break today. So they could rally this up a little bit today, but I do think it's going to go, and I'm going to continue to trade it there that way. I don't see any divergence, any indication. If you look at the hourly, you have some bullish divergence showing up on the hourly chart right here. You can see that clearly we're getting some bullish divergence, but it's just on the hourly chart. So that can get washed out pretty quickly. You get a gap down, we're gonna run right through and wash that divergence out. So I would really like to see. I'm really thinking we're still going to break down to that 59. We might put in bullish divergence on the daily chart as we work our way down there, and that would be a more significant bottom. And Tesla, we'll cover Tesla. This one's gapping down today, making another low within what looks to be a downtrend. All right, here's your upward trend line support right there on the daily. We basically started to put in negative divergence back through, we really started to have it through here. You can see this was a divergent high. Let me go ahead and get rid of these. You can see we're making new higher highs just slightly, but on negative divergence. So that tells you a trend line reversal is likely, and then you wait for a break of trend line support. Well, trend line support was all the way down here on the daily chart. So we came down, we hit it, we bounced, we hit it again, we bounced. You can see all the times they were holding that. Finally, they broke, and there's your sell signal right there. See that big impulsive breakdown? That's your signal that, okay, the trend's now broken, we're going down. And that's all we've done ever since is go down. So the way this thing works is, it will continue to move down till we see signals or signs of, of a reversal of this downtrend. I got the next major level of support down here at 4. It's about 464 or so. And I think we're heading right down there. So we're going to continue to trade that to the downside. And here's Winnebago gapping down today, coming into this support level right here. And this one's looking a little bit stronger than some of the others. I think we're going to probably at least tag the 200-day moving average. But we've got a level of support right there at 66.63. 200-day moving average today is sitting at 64.01. And then another level of support at 68.79 basically. This one, you had an upward trend line right there. You put in negative divergence. That actually was not negative divergence right there. This one actually doesn't have negative divergence. It never really had it. So, not my favorite trade. And I'm looking at the price action today. It looks a little stronger than like Deere or some of these other ones I've talked about. So, something to take note of. This one might find some support in here, and we could bounce and get a full back test. So I'm likely going to probably cover this trade. It's profitable, and I could put the money to work somewhere else in something that looks a little bit better. But there is always, I point out those levels, and then obviously if it breaks down there, it could go all the way down to 47. Just not my favorite trade setup. Okay, gold miners. So some of these gold miners are at a level of resistance where I would expect some sort of a pullback. And, they're still in a longer-term uptrend. I think that uptrend is intact as of right now, but we could get a little pullback here. So, if you're an active trader, it could make sense. Here's Agnico Eagle. You can see major level of support through here. It was resistance pretty much once we broke below. Slight false breakout there, but we also had this downtrend line. So we've taken out the downtrend line. We don't have to worry about that, but we do have that level right there that we're coming into, 73.62. You can see they popped above it just briefly, and so far it's been rejected and held as resistance. So, we could pull down, to the 200-day moving average, maybe dip slightly below it. Little pullback, I think, would be in order. This thing's run. It's pretty overbought on the RSI. So, a little pullback, wash out some of that. Reset the RSI and then continue higher is what I see. And the same with wheat and precious metals. Same kind of deal. Here's a trend line I've had marked out, 47.50. It's about right where we're at right now, $47, 47.20. You can see they popped above it the other day, kind of held above it, but today we're, starting to sell off. Could see a little pullback, maybe back down to the 200-day moving average at 44.32. All right, that would be areas I'd be looking to buy back into this thing. And, this is just active trader stuff. I still see this as an uptrend line. Here's your downtrend. We broke out. We're moving higher, but you're going to get little pullbacks along the way as you continue higher. So just want to point that out. Maybe a little pullback in some of these miners. And commodities, the ag commodities, look like they got a little bit more to go to the downside. Wheat is running into some support right here at 655. You can see that was resistance through here, breakout candle. So wheat might be done pulling back. But some of the other ag commodities like corn, you got this uptrend line right here on corn, and that's the buy zone area that I'm looking to add to corn. So I think a little more downside, and that's quite a bit. That's still another 10% or so down. would be an area that I'd be of interest to buy the ag commodities. Soybeans, I don't have that one marked up. Coffee, coffee bounced yesterday, coming down a little bit today. We didn't really hit my area of support, which is really down around this $39-40 up to about $40-50. Somewhere right in there is kind of the area of support that I'm really more interested in buying it, right in there. So, and then one thing to point out, lumber. So lumber obviously broke trend about a week ago. On your, there's your lumber futures sell signal, and it's just been coming straight down ever since. I mean, from the highs, lumber is off 30% already. Pretty good fall. And so I'm interested in some of these lumber producers or, these timber companies. Here's Weyerhaeuser. Here's an uptrend line right there on Weyerhaeuser. Not quite a sell signal. It doesn't look impulsive enough as a breakdown, but we are starting to break that trend line today. So keep an eye on that. You do have negative divergence on the RSI and the PPO. If we break and you get a little more impulsive selling from here, then I think we've got a nice clean level of support at about 31.01. And that would be the area I'd be interested in covering. And that's about a 14-15% drop, depending on where it drops from. Not good enough as a sell signal from my perspective yet. But if there's more selling, and if you look at the hourly chart, they broke. You got the hourly close below. Let's see how the rest of the day plays out. If you see more selling coming in and we start to move lower, that would be your sell signal. But if they can kind of rally it up, recover it, close it around this trend line, then it's not good enough from my perspective on a daily candlestick as a sell signal. You really want to see, because we're using a daily chart as our trade, as our trade setups, we want to see that daily breakdown. Okay, and I'll wrap up with this trade idea, Ally Financial. This is a bank stock. The banks, I've been watching them. XLF has not broken trend, still in an uptrend, but we're starting to get some negative divergence showing up in these financials. So here's Ally, negative divergence here on the RSI, negative divergence there on the PPO. Nice clean uptrend to follow right there. So again, this is just a setup. It's not a reason to get short or a sell signal or anything like that, but it's set up to short this thing. So we're waiting for a break of this trend line. We haven't broke yet. We're right at it today. No impulsive selling yet. So we need to see that breakdown. But if we get the breakdown, I would look for, here's a level of support right here. You've got, it's right about, it's right in there as a level of support. And that's down at 43.18. You've got another level, you probably will come all the way down to this level right here, or potential to come all the way down here at 33.47. So, and that would be like, let's say we break tomorrow. I mean, that could be a 35% drop. Even right there, 17.5% drop. I know it doesn't look like much on my chart, and that's because I use log scaling. But if you're, it's a 17% drop from, if we were to break. So just waiting for that sell signal. We don't have it yet, but that's all I got, guys. There's probably a lot more out there. There's a lot going on recently in the charts. A lot of trades are triggering and some movement. So I'm trying to stay on top of it. If you guys see anything you want me to look at, leave a comment below, and I will catch you guys on the next one.